6. Has done a great job.
Welcome to Eagle Eye News at 6.
We are just having a great time here in Auburn, Alabama. The party is not over yet.
Eagle Eye TV, Auburn's news leader.
Good evening and welcome to Eagle Eye News at 6. I'm Jonny Koeninger.
And I'm Allison Thomas. Thank you for joining us.
On Thursday, a series of 3 AU alert notifications were inadvertently sent out to students, falsely warning of 3 separate incidents. A number of questions are left unanswered after 3 separate AU alerts were sent out to students at around noon Thursday, warning of a hazardous materials release, a tornado warning, and an active shooter on campus. Auburn University was quick to announce on social media that the alerts were inadvertent, but many students on campus went into lockdown. Today, Eagle Eye TV reached out to Auburn University Director of Campus Security, Mike Davis, and asked 3 questions. 1, what caused the alerts to be sent, and has the school ensured that this won't happen again? 2nd, why an email warning of a mass shooter was sent to students after an all-clear email was sent? And finally, what other precautions can students take in the event of a real emergency? Campus Safety has not responded to our inquiry, but this story will be updated with the relevant information if Campus Safety comments.
Turning Point USA made a stop at Auburn University Wednesday on their This is the Turning Point tour. Eagle Eye reporter Lucas Hazelrig has the story.
Turning Point USA is here in Auburn, Alabama, and conservative speakers from all over the country have come together to spread awareness of Turning Point's mission while also honoring the life of right-wing political activist Charlie Kirk.
Thousands were in attendance on Wednesday as Turning Point USA made an appearance inside of Neville Arena. Guest speakers like United States Senator Tommy Tuberville, conservative political commentator Benny Johnson, and President Donald Trump's son and daughter-in-law Eric and Laura Trump headlined the event. Prior to the event, Senator Tommy Tuberville explained what his goals are in working with Turning Point and the message he wishes to get across to the Auburn student body.
I just want to tell them from my perspective, I've been there 5 years. I'm a football coach, okay? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician. I've been up there representing Alabama. The corruption, the greed, and the things that have gone up there in Washington, D.C., they need to understand. And a lot of egos up there, but a lot of them need to get their feelings hurt. People need to start, in Washington, D.C., need to start representing the people of this country and not politics.
Benny Johnson's role in this event was clear, and that was to entertain and inform. A significant portion of Johnson's speech focused on humor related to the Democratic Party.
It's a dark period in our country. Thankfully, Joe Biden didn't know any of it was happening.
Johnson then welcomed Eric and Laura Trump to the stage. While on stage, Eric gave the crowd what they wanted as he gave a call to President Donald Trump, who then spoke to the Auburn crowd.
And Auburn's a special place. I've been there many times. I know many people from that area, number one, and from that school. It's a great school, and we love Alabama. We won Alabama by 45 points.
The event concluded with a staple of the Turning Point tour, the Q&A. These Q&As, formerly conducted by Charlie Kirk, are the focal point of what his wife Erica's promise was to their supporters following his September 10th assassination in saying, "Our campus tour this fall will continue."
For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Lucas Hazelrig.
Along with all the supporters of Turning Point here on campus, there are also many who oppose the views of the organization. Eagle Eye's Morgan Sims, who attended protests held here on campus, has more on the story.
This is Turning Point USA's first visit to the Plains, igniting polarizing responses from both the Auburn student body and the Auburn community. A day of anticipation for some and a day of frustration for others. Turning Point USA's stop at Auburn unleashed a range of emotions among thousands of attendees.
I have got fingers today. I have got Charlie Kirk today. And all I can yell back to them is, God bless America. About 6,000 people filled Neville Arena, including students, community members, and traveling TPUSA supporters. Eric and Laura Trump, along with Benny Johnson and Tommy Tuberville, spoke for about 2.5 hours about their plan to continue spreading Charlie Kirk's message. There were 2 counter-protests to Turning Point USA, which occurred in 2 different locations on Auburn's campus, one at Cary Hall and one later at Toomer's Corner. One attendee and Auburn alumni expressed that TPUSA is what America needs.
I live in Auburn, so it's just a good time to see everyone come together. I mean, we live in the United States, and I mean, this is what Charlie Kirk did when starting this program, and this really just brings all of us, and especially trying to keep this younger generation staying together.
While a protester who wished not to be identified had an opposing view.
The campus supporting groups like Turning Point and people like the Trumps coming to our campus, that does not make anyone feel safer. It makes people afraid to go to class. It makes people afraid to come here, and it is not what Auburn should be promoting.
Turning Point USA will continue its university tours, with its next stop being UC Berkeley. For Eagle Eye News, I'm Morgan Sims.
Along with the protests, Auburn students and residents felt the need to express their opinions on the event in a public way. Let's go to Eagle Eye's Jonny Koeninger on the street.
Turning Point USA is speaking at Auburn University's Neville Arena, accompanied by former Auburn football coach and gubernatorial candidate Tommy Tuberville. And so I'm standing outside to help get a feel for what it's like on campus.
It was quite the sight to behold on Wednesday. Hundreds of students, as well as those affected particularly by the death of Charlie Kirk almost 2 months ago, showed out for the Turning Point event.
With a capacity for over 9,000 students, the city of Auburn is anticipating just that many to show out. In fact, the line for the student-only line stretches for about a quarter mile.
We spoke with several students about how they feel that their values align with those of Turning Point USA.
Yeah, so the reason this is important to me and a lot of the other volunteers and students here is we just want to carry on the messages that Charlie Kirk left behind and started. Most importantly, I would say is first the Christian values that Charlie Kirk always put ahead of everything, and then obviously the America First values. That's something very important to me. Love my country like I know a lot of the other Auburn students do, and just want to carry that forward, and good traditional Western values is what's important to us.
Though the line is still wrapped around the block here, around the village, some Auburn students and Auburn residents don't feel the same way. If you look over here, we have several protesters who are voicing their opinion.
Though the group at Village Crossing were loud and proud, there's a group that's been at it at Toomer's Crossing for over 5 years. Every night, with signs like Abolish ICE and Transgender People Belong, they stand directly opposed to the agenda pushed by Turning Point USA. We had the opportunity to speak with one of the original protesters.
We are Toomer Sit-In. We've been sitting out here every day for over 5 years now. Today is day 1,984 days of us being out here every day from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Rain, shine, snow, whatever. And we've been out here for that long to spread awareness about racism, reproductive rights, LGBTQIA+ rights, and among many things in our community.
Eagle Eye will continue to cover the Alabama gubernatorial race. For Eagle Eye News at 6, I'm Jonny Koeninger.
Thanks, Jonny, and a big thanks to all of our Eagle Eye team for the extensive coverage on yesterday's event. When we come back, you'll get a weather update from Eagle Eye's Gavin Dimit.
Hi, I'm Gavin Dimit. Welcome to Eagle Eye News at 6, and here's our weather outlook for this week on the plains. If you woke up this morning dreading Monday and walking to class in the cold, then you are in luck. You can see a gradual increase in temperature for this week, ending with a beautiful weekend. Tomorrow we expect a high of 51 and a low of 25. On Wednesday there will be a high of 65 and a low of 34. On Thursday we head back into the 70s with a high of 71 and a low of 44. Finally, on Friday, there will be a high of 73 and a low of 45. If you are sticking around in Auburn this weekend, despite the bye week, expect even better weather. On Saturday, there will be a high of 74 and a low of 47. On Friday, expect a high of 75 and a low of 50, with winds picking up midday. In summary, expect to lose an extra layer of clothes as the week goes on. However, you should still expect the typical brisk fall mornings and early cool evenings. Either way, enjoy the bye week of beautiful fall weather. That's all we have for your weather update for this week on the plains. Do not go anywhere. After the break, you will be getting your national news update back at the desk. From Eagle Eye News at 6, I'm Gavin Dimit. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back to Eagle Eye News at 6. 4 people were killed and 11 others were injured following a police pursuit that ended in a crash in Tampa, Florida early Saturday morning. The Tampa Police Department says its air service had been monitoring a car that was driving recklessly. The Florida Highway Patrol located the car and initiated a pursuit. The Highway Patrol attempted a pit maneuver but was unable to stop the car, and the troopers disengaged with the driver. Officials say the driver then lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a business after hitting more than a dozen people who were outside. Police say 3 people died at the scene and a 4th died at the hospital. The driver was arrested and charged with vehicular homicide and aggravated fleeing with serious bodily injury.
A half-century ago, the largest freighter on the Great Lakes at the time, the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, sank in a storm on Lake Superior. The 50th anniversary of that tragedy, which killed 29 people, is being marked on Monday. Mark Leland spoke with family members of one of the crew members about keeping alive the memory of those lost.
The Great Lakes and in the Coast Guard, and as a young person.
Family of those 29 crew members who went down with the cargo ship routinely take part in the annual remembrance ceremony at the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum on the shores of Lake Superior in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Among them, Debbie Champeau, who was just 17 years old when her father, Oliver Buck Champeau, was lost aboard the SS Edmund Fitzgerald.
What is it like to have this yearly reminder?
It doesn't feel like closure at all. It feels like it's yesterday, and it brings him back, and it makes me very sad.
Debbie's father is one of two crew members on the Edmund Fitzgerald who grew up in Sturgeon Bay. The other is Russell Haskell. Both were engineers on the ship. Buck Champeau was 41 when he died, after sailing the world on different ships.
Did he share a lot about his time on ships?
No, and honestly, I didn't even really understand what he did on the ship. I had no idea about anything with the Fitz. All I knew is he was going away on a ship. I just knew he'd be back, and I'd hear a phone call, and it would be him. So I'm back in port.
Until that fateful night on November 10th, 1975, when the Edmund Fitzgerald would go down in a storm.
And after 50 years, will it be tougher for you, or?
It seems to be tough this year. It hasn't been the past years, but for whatever reason, this year is hard. It's hard.
It's amazing how fast 50 years goes by, because I remember the day it happened like it was yesterday, and I couldn't believe that it was actually happening, and that my uncle would be gone.
Debbie's cousin Mike Champeau is the son of Buck's brother Jack. He says the two brothers were very close.
I've never seen two brothers closer in my life.
Yeah. You could see the bond between them, and
Oh, yes.
they kind of looked out for each other?
Oh yeah, and so when my dad was in Vietnam, my uncle said, if you pass in, if you get killed in Vietnam, I'll come get your body back. And that was the deal made. So when Uncle Buck went down on the boat on the Edmund, my dad tried everything to bring his body back up.
That's Jack on the right during the 1995 expedition to retrieve the bell from the Fitzgerald after it was determined recovery of all 29 bodies would not be an option. Instead, they would be left with the Fitzgerald to rest in peace. Once the bell was cut loose and brought up, it was Mike's father,
Very, very emotional time.
who was the first to ring it.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was the first to ring it until last year. I was told that. So, yeah, it's a great honor.
For Debbie, she relies on that bell from the ship to bring her peace year after year.
I have a grave that's empty at St. Joe's, and it just meant something to have a piece of the Fitz.
Once again this year, Debbie will be surrounded by others who lost loved ones on the Fitzgerald. And at the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum in the UP, they will once again ring the ship's bell 29 times to honor them.
It's very special. It's a piece of where they were. It's the last thing I feel they heard, that bell going off.
You just want your father to rest in peace.
I want him to rest in peace.
The wreckage of the Edmund Fitzgerald has been designated a grave site by the Canadian government. When we return, you'll get an update on the ongoing government shutdown and more with Jalen Walker on Eye on the Hill. You're watching Eagle Eye News at 6.
Capitol Hill has been busy. I'm Jalen Walker with tonight's Eye on the Hill. The federal government shutdown may be closer to ending. Last night, 8 moderate Democrat senators voted to break the filibuster in a 60-40 vote, advancing the GOP's continuing resolution. Senate Majority Leader John Thune agreed to bring back some fired federal workers and a promise to vote on extending Obamacare subsidies that are set to expire at the end of the year to bring moderate Democrats into the fold. Senators Mike Lee of Utah, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, and Rick Scott of Florida held back their votes until the last minute over concerns of some of the concessions Thune made to Democrats. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky voted no. Maine Independent Senator Angus King said to the press that the vote, quote, was a win for the American people, unquote. To move the bill to final passage, senators must have unanimous consent to move to a final vote. It's unclear when the final passage of the bill will occur. House Speaker Mike Johnson has told House members to come back to Washington to vote on the bill. Last week, Democrats scored big in electoral victories across the country. In Virginia, former House Representative Abigail Spanberger beat current Lieutenant Governor Winston Earl Sears 57.3 to 42.5%. In New Jersey, Democrat Mikey Sherrill beat GOP nominee Jack Ciattarelli 56.6% to 42.8%. And in New York City, Democratic nominee Zoran Mamdani beat challengers Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa, gaining 50.4% of the vote. California voters also voted to approve a measure to change their congressional districts to add 5 Democratic-leaning seats. And the Supreme Court has declined to hear a challenge to the court's landmark ruling on same-sex marriage, but will take up a case involving mail-in ballots. The same-sex marriage case was brought by Kim Davis, a Kentucky county clerk who refused to grant marriage licenses to same-sex couples. The court declined to answer why they refused the challenge. But the Supreme Court will review a challenge to Mississippi's mail-in voting law, which allows ballots to be counted up to 5 days after Election Day if they are postmarked by Election Day. We'll keep an eye on that case. When we come back, we'll be back at the desk with Allison and Jonny for a business and consumer update. I'm Jalen Walker with Eye on the Hill. Eagle Eye News at 6. We'll be right back.
The government shutdown, now on its 41st day, is causing big disruptions with air travel. The major carriers canceled more than 1,000 flights on Saturday, and more than 5,000 flights experienced delays. The carriers are working to comply with an FAA mandate to cut 4% of flights at 40 major airports across the country, including from Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. It's part of an effort to ease pressure on air traffic controllers who are working without pay. Staffing shortages at air traffic control facilities persist. Those have caused the delays and cancellations across the country. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, the Senate today passed a measure to end the government shutdown. However, the vote still needs to pass the House to end the shutdown for good.
The Internal Revenue Service is cutting off an online tax filing system. The IRS is shutting down its free offering of Direct File. The Biden administration announced the new online program last year. Direct File was aimed to help low and moderate income taxpayers file their returns easily. Fewer than 300,000 people used Direct File this year. Treasury Department officials said the program was halted because it wasn't widely used.
Another fast food chain is offering up a unique dessert for the holidays. Taco Bell is rolling out the Mountain Dew Baja Blast Pie. It's a key lime style pie that gets an infusion of the chain's fan favorite soda. Taco Bell says the unique treat fits well with Friendsgiving, where it says anything traditional gets a creative twist. The chain says the pie is available limited time, in-store only, and sold only as whole pies for $19.99. We're out of time, but for more Auburn news, head over to our website, eagleeyeauburn.com, and check out our social media pages. I'm Jonny Koeninger.
And I'm Allison Thomas. Thank you for watching, and War Eagle.